Mysterious lights have appeared in the night sky over Marfa, Texas, and no one knows what they are. Do you believe these could be ghost lights, or do you have another theory? Let me know in the comments below. It was 1981 when the people of Marfa first started to witness strange floating lights. It was about 10 p.m., and many people saw bright white spheres floating above the horizon line. These orbs were seen dancing around for hours, and then they just vanished. People began to call them the Marfa lights. There is some debate as to whether these lights were actually seen in 1981, but there's no doubt that after this date, they began to appear regularly and have continued to do so into today. So even if they didn't start back in 1981, that is definitely when people started paying attention to them. In total, the lights have been witnessed over 600 times in the past 40 years. The lights continue to baffle scientists and UFO researchers alike. Many people who have witnessed the event said that the lights were very bright, like giant fireflies floating across the sky. Others say that the lights resemble giant white flowers blooming across the horizon. The lights generally appear from the horizon in the dark and can be seen floating around for hours. Sometimes they move slowly and sometimes they move fast. And despite being huge, it seems as though they're weightless. They can hover and even change direction suddenly. Some people think the lights may be related to the nearby Fort Davis, which was established by the U.S. Army in 1852. There are rumors that between 1881 and 1891, secret experiments were conducted at the fort involving weapons and energy. This would explain why the ghost lights only started appearing after 1881, but no one knows for sure. What we do know is that in September of 1982, the mysterious lights were seen again, and this time, not only did people on the ground see them, but a helicopter pilot also witnessed them too. The pilot, along with two others, pursued the lights, but no matter how fast they went, they couldn't catch up to them. The lights were always just out of reach. Some of the orbs were large, spanning 100 feet across, while others were as small as 10 feet across. The people on the ground watched as the lights flew all over the sky like a rave of gigantic fireflies until they eventually disappeared. Many people are convinced that these lights are the result of government experiments gone wrong. One such person is filmmaker John Alexander. In his documentary, he describes a conversation he had with a man named Glenn Dennis, who lived near an old Air Force base. Glenn told John that one day he received a phone call from someone at the base asking him if he had any extra grain. Glenn said he did and asked why they wanted it. They simply replied that they needed it for an experiment. A little while later, Glenn noticed a bunch of military trucks parked outside his barn. He knew immediately that the men were there to take the grain. Later that night, Glenn heard a loud explosion followed by a bright flash of light. The next morning, he went outside to check on his cattle, and that's when he saw the mysterious lights. Glenn called the sheriff to report what he'd seen, but by the time he got there, the lights were gone. John thinks that the mysterious lights are part of a government conspiracy that has been kept top secret for decades. He believes that the explosions caused the grain silos to glow and illuminate the night sky. But there is no proof to support this theory. And while some people say they witnessed similar lights during the 1940s and 50s, it wasn't until 1981 that they really started to appear every night, and so far, we have no idea why. Marfa is a small town in Texas. When the lights first appeared, people came from all over the country to see them. Back then, the population of Marfa was just 187 people. Today, its population is still only 453 people. That means that the town is pretty much unchanged since 1981, and yet the lights continue to appear every night. The lights have inspired artists. They've written songs and created paintings and sculptures based on their beauty. Even today, people travel from all over the world just to see the lights. In 2011, the lights were studied by two astronomers. They observed the lights for 2 nights and recorded several videos. You can watch their footage online. However, it doesn't seem to show anything out of the ordinary. It just looks like a regular night sky filled with stars. So why don't the astronomers have any answers? Well, they didn't actually study the lights themselves. They went out to see the lights, but they weren't actually able to find them. All they found was a regular night sky filled with stars. So they packed up and went home. And even if they had found the lights, astronomers wouldn't be qualified to investigate them anyway. After all, astronomers study space, not unexplained phenomena. If they were to study the ghost lights, they would need to be experts in ballistics, physics, and maybe even quantum mechanics. One person who did try to investigate the lights was retired FBI agent Philip J. Corso. He believed that they were extraterrestrial in origin and made every effort to prove it. Unfortunately for Phil, his efforts were unsuccessful. He was never able to get close enough to the lights to take a sample and analyze it. In fact, he never even got close enough to take a picture of them. When he went to photograph the lights, they seemed to sense him and disappeared into the darkness. At first, he thought maybe he was imagining things, but he soon realized that the lights were reacting to his presence every time. They would appear dancing in the sky, then vanish when he tried to get closer. Even though he never saw the lights up close, Phil is convinced that they are extraterrestrials. He believes that they come from a different dimension, and that's why we can't touch them. Even when he drove under them trying to catch one in his headlights, they seemed to pass straight through his car. This is something that many witnesses have reported over the years. The lights appear to be solid objects that you can drive under, yet they don't cast a shadow. It's almost as though they're ghosts, hence the name Ghost Lights of Marfa. Another witness described her experience seeing the lights for the first time. She and her husband were camping in the desert near Marfa, and one night they were awakened by a bright flash of light. They looked up to see dozens of bright orbs floating in the night sky. For a moment, they were mesmerized by the beauty of it all, but then their awe turned to terror. The lights floated silently toward their campsite. As they got closer, they grew larger and larger until they were as big as houses. The couple watched in horror as the lights surrounded their car. They could feel the heat coming off them, and it smelled like burning sulfur. Just before the lights engulfed their car, they both blacked out. When they woke up, the lights were gone. They looked around to see if they were injured, but luckily they weren't. Then they noticed something else. Their tent was completely destroyed, torn to shreds as if it had been attacked by a giant. The couple ran out of there, never looking back. To this day, they have no idea what those lights were or what they would have done to them if they hadn't passed out. I find this story particularly interesting because it combines elements of the paranormal and the unknown. It's not often that you hear about lights in the sky that can put people in a coma. Most UFO sightings involve aliens and spaceships, but this case is different. We don't know if the lights are extraterrestrial, but we do know that they have some kind of power over humans. There are many other stories like this one, and each one adds more mystery to the ghost lights of Marfa. There is no evidence to support any one theory over the others, so we may never know what these lights really are. But what do you think? Do you believe the ghost lights of Marfa are real, or are they a hoax? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe for more amazing stories. Thanks for watching. Bye.